My name is Angela.
My name is Nicole.
And welcome to the Ominous Stitch podcast. Hello, Stitcher.
Hey, everybody.
Welcome to another exciting episode of the Ominous Stitch podcast.
So exciting.
I am very excited for today because it's another true crime, which I know I shouldn't be.
No.
That's a lot of O's. I feel like I'm New Kids on the Block all of a sudden.
Okay.
Yeah, shows how old we are.
Yeah.
I love that we both can experience New Kids on the Block.
I loved NKOTB when I was growing up.
I didn't see them until I was like 30 and they
What?
did their reunion tour.
Okay.
My parents wouldn't let me go because I was too young.
Oh,
so
I
didn't
never
get to see
saw a
them.
concert either.
I have stories about
Yeah.
NKOTB, but my husband took me to see them when I was in my 30s and I was crying when they came out on stage and screaming, and he was like, what the heck
What?
is going on? What is this?
Bringing back
Who are
childhood
you?
fantasies.
Okay. But New Kids on the Block is not ominous and not what we're talking about today.
No. And it's not, it's true crime, but
Yes. But
it involves ghosts.
I know it's
So
a crossover.
this is the fun one.
It's
Yeah.
a crossover.
This is a
episode.
cool one.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's dive in and let's talk about stitches.
Okay, yeah, you go first.
Okay, so my stitches is something that hopefully everyone can relate to, and you can laugh about this because it is something that you get to laugh about
Later?
eventually.
Later.
Okay, so how many of you out there put your hands in the air or take a stitch?
I just don't care. Okay, go. Yes, go ahead.
That's another New Kids on the Block thing. Okay. How many of you guys out there have ever put together furniture?
Yes.
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 Multi-step process. So
Uh-huh.
we bought a Murphy bed as a guest bed for our guests because we, do
Yes.
have family that live outside of Southern California that do come and visit.
Mm-hmm.
So we bought a Murphy bed.
It's
and
from IKEA or no?
no,
That's-
it's from a company that sells
So
Murphy beds.
you'd think it'd be better.
Yeah, I think, and
IKEA
it
is
is
frustrating
a
sometimes.
very like solidly constructed piece of furniture.
Mm-hmm.
But my husband, when we were ordering it, there was an option where you could have somebody put it together for like $1,000.
Oh my gosh. I was going
Right?
to ask you that. I was like, I would be like, yeah, $200. Let's do this.
No, it was like $1,000.
$1,000.
Maybe less than that, but like
Still.
it was a lot of money.
That's
and
too
my
much
husband
money.
was like,
No.
No, we can do this.
Yeah.
There are video tutorials. I watched them. We got this.
You got
we can do
this.
this. Now we're both like, maybe we should have paid the money.
I was like, maybe it was worth it.
Man, this thing has been...
It's a beast, huh?
It's a beast. It's a beautiful beast.
Yes, it is.
But like
It's gorgeous.
every step of the way, we put something together wrong. So we've had to undo it and put it back together.
Oh, no.
And then trying to anchor it onto the wall. And it's been a headache. But
And it's just you two.
and it's just us trying to do it.
Right.
But, and he's a very handy guy.
Sure.
I'm not that handy, but he's very handy. And he's still like,
It's frustrating.
it's frustrating. And the most frustrating thing about putting together this Murphy bed is that the videos, when you're watching the person on the video, they're done in like 20 minutes. And they're just like, you just do this, and then it's done. And you're like, but how?
Oh, gosh.
Because no.
Yes. You're like,
It's
nope,
not that
that's not
easy.
that. Yep.
It doesn't go that way.
I feel like that with a lot of things in life.
Oh my
Like,
gosh.
it's this easy. And you're like, no, it's not.
And it's frustrating because you're like, how is it not that easy for me?
Right.
And you could just sit there and do it in like 20 seconds.
Because they
makes
do
no
it
sense.
all the time.
They do it all the time. And I have
yeah.
to keep reminding myself that.
Yes.
But we've had many moments putting this headache of a piece of furniture together
Oh, no.
where we're both looking at it like,
How?
why is this that hard? And why
Yeah.
is it that like crazy?
Frustrating.
But anyway, that's my stitch.
I'm
Putting together
sorry.
furniture.
I mean, like I said, at least it's not from IKEA because we've had many of IKEA furniture where you're like, this doesn't fit together. Why? No, it doesn't
Yes,
make any
yes.
sense. And
No,
then-
the pieces, they fit together and they work. And
Sure.
this is just like,
but it's just hard to put
it's
together.
hard to put together.
It's huge too.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's, it's a queen size Murphy bed that has bifolding bookcases.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's
That's
a
pretty
complicated piece of furniture that we're like, oh, we got this. And, and
Good
it's
spirits.
good. Yeah. It's a story now that we get to talk about and laugh. Remember when we put together the Murphy bed? It's one of those things. So anyway, that's my story. Nicole,
Nice.
what has you in stitches?
Okay, I have an angry stitch.
No.
Okay, LAUSD. I'm looking at you, LAUSD. Come at me because so I got
them's fighting words,
I
Nicole.
know, right? No. Okay, I get home and I get this letter, and it's talking about my little one, saying your little one's truant because he missed 3 days in September. Truant.
Oh,
and it's like
goodness.
belittling you because it's like, oh, if
How
you miss
dare
this,
he miss-
yeah, if you miss
yeah.
these many days, it's so hard to catch up and blah 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 blah. And I was like, dude, he was out with COVID. We followed LAUSD regulations.
Yeah.
We were in touch with this teacher the entire time.
Yeah.
Even the principal, right? So who gets on their computer and types a letter to the principal? I was fuming.
You're such a mama bear.
I was like, no, my kid is not truant, for crying out loud. I'll show you truant if you want him truant. So anyway, so I type a letter to his principal. I'm like, I was very formal about it, but at the end I was like, we just want a better way to get letters out across because this is outdated. This is pre-COVID, right? When you sending out truancy letters,
right?
Until you get COVID, and you're
like,
telling us to stay home in quarantine.
We have to be gone. We have to miss school.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You told us to leave. I can send him to school with COVID. Sure, let us do that.
Sure,
right?
Yeah.
So nice thing is though, she emails me the next day and she's like, I 100% agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
Please send me the letter. This comes from the district with my name on it. I was like, dang it, LAUSD.
Of course.
So yeah, so I was really frustrated, but it got resolved within a day, I think.
Good.
Hopefully, but I really want to go to like a town meeting with the LAUSD, but like I want to just yell at them.
Go Mama Bear, go.
Yes. I'm so frustrated because I was like, that hurts because it's like your kid's not truant. He's not truant. He's in first grade.
Yeah.
He missed 3 days of learning ABCs. Come on, he's smart.
Right. He can catch up.
That's
fine.
So, and he did, and he's great. So anyway, that's my stitch. LAUSD, man. Get your act
Watch
together.
out, Nicole's coming after you. We got Mama Bear on the loose.
But just talk, but I like throw that letter away. Or like throw that record away. Because that's what I want, really. So
yeah, it's like, come on.
Yeah.
He's a first grader.
First grade.
Yes, we understand you're trying to prevent kids from just staying home because they just don't want to go, and you want to make sure that everybody is in school and learning. But that is a little bit,
it's too much.
Yeah, it's a little
extra.
intense.
Yeah.
So
anyway, I feel better now, thankfully.
Good.
But I was fuming that day.
Yeah.
And then the funniest part was
Okay.
Our principal was like, "Can you scan this and send it to me?" I had crumpled it up and threw it in the recycle bin.
You're like,
so I was like, sure. And I dug it out and I like tried to smooth it out.
That's
and
so
then, but
funny.
she said, oh, it's okay. No, I'll just forward them your email. I'm like, thank God. But it's there. But anyway, so that's my stitch.
Oh,
I'm cool.
okay,
I'm
good.
Cool. Anyway, but I'm excited about today's episode.
I'm very excited about today's episode.
This is really fun. And you know what's crazy is that there are way more of these stories than you think there are.
We should do a whole series on these.
Yeah,
I
maybe.
love crossovers.
I'm thinking of doing like a patron episode for the
Ooh,
extras.
that would be good.
So watch out.
Speaking of crossovers, so our stitch today is kind of a crossover between a scarf and a sweater.
I know. I'm so excited. I told Angela, I was like, you have to make this for me because I will wear
make
it.
it for you.
Yeah, okay.
I love it. So should we get stitching?
Yeah,
then?
let's get stitching. Yay.
Okay, Stitchers. So for today's pattern, this is a free pattern that you can find on Ravelry. It's a crochet sweater scarf pattern. There's many different variations of this pattern that I found on actual Ravelry too. You can pay for it if you want to, or you can just follow this one. This one seemed like a pretty simple way to go about making this scarf. So I thought that this would be a good one. And I feel like this would be a good one because we're coming up on holiday season and it's, this is scarf weather right here. Even in Southern California, we still get sweater weather here. Good song. Yeah. Okay. So So this is like a combination between a scarf and a sweater. It's got ribbed sleeves, and it looks like you can make the sleeve length as long as you want, but it's a chain 51 for the sleeve length. So this is going up to 51 chains. So it's probably, and you can make it longer or shorter if you want to, but the ribbing looks like it's an actual sleeve. It's going up past your elbow, probably about to mid bicep. Like,
what's that?
What is that muscle? Mid arm, mid bicep,
Yep.
or even higher. I don't know, depending upon how long 51 chains is.
Yeah, you can like scoot it up too, or I like
scoot
it
it
longer.
up, pull it down. I like it to cover like my hands a little bit. Yeah.
Yes, I'm wearing
she's
one
wearing
just
a sweater
like
that is doing that right now.
Yep.
And so the sleeves are ribbed, and then the body of the scarf is nice, big, thick and chunky, and it's just a single crochet that kind of makes a back and forth zigzag pattern. And Miss Nicole, disclaimer, had to help me figure out what the wording was, because I was like, I don't understand what
She
she's
helps
doing
me
here.
more than I help her.
And she's like, oh, you're just going back and forth in the single crochet.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm going to describe it briefly, but if you want to find it, it is on Ravelry, and it is Crochet with Corey.
Oh.
Is where
That's
I
a
found
nice
this Crochet with Corey, and this is her crochet sweater scarf.
Thank you,
it
Corey.
is a free pattern. So
Yay.
thank you, Corey.
Thank you.
Okay. And it's so cute.
I love
and
it.
she uses Lionheart.
Red Heart.
Or Red Heart.
I got you saying
Lionheart. She either uses Red Heart or Lion brand. Those are the two kinds.
That's why.
But it is an acrylic yarn.
Yeah.
And she starts off with a 5.5 millimeter hook.
Okay.
Which is,
It's not the J hook.
It's not the J hook. We are jumping on both sides of the J.
Oh, okay.
So we're using a 5.5 and a 6.5.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we're jumping
Cool.
back and forth. So the sleeve length she measures it about 14 inches long on the sleeve.
Okay.
And then the main body length, depending upon how long you want your scarf, she offers various sizes. So you can go 58, 64, or 70 inches, depending upon how big you want that scarf. And it does wrap around you. Okay, so we'll go 70 inches. With that one.
Yeah.
All right.
I want it warming.
And it's
cozy.
about 14 to 16 inches wide as well on the scarf part. So we're going to start with our 5.5 millimeter hook, and we're going to chain 51, and that is the length of the chain. Now, when you're doing this, you want to leave a super long tail.
Okay.
Because you're going to use that tail to sew it back up once you're done.
That makes sense.
And so you're going to do some ribbing.
What's ribbing?
Ribbing is really fun, and I do it differently than the way that she does it, and I'm sure a lot of you have your own way of doing ribbing.
Okay.
So the way that she does ribbing, we'll do her way of ribbing first, and
Okay.
I'm probably going to do my way of ribbing when
After?
as I make this.
So you can do it either way.
You can do it either way.
Okay.
So you're going to chain 51, and then you're going to single crochet, second chain from the hook, blah, 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 all the way back, right? So you
Nice.
have the foundation row of single crochets.
Okay.
And then you're going to chain 1 for your turning chain for row 2. And then you're going to single crochet in back loops only in each stitch across.
Nice.
Then you're going to chain 1, turn, again, back loops only.
Okay.
So if you stay in the back loops only, it makes a rib pop up.
Oh, that makes sense. I get it.
Yes.
Cool.
And so you're going to do that until you have a total of, depending upon how big the sleeves need to be for you. So she offers 3 sizes, as I said. So a small medium is 45 rows, 47 for a large, and 49 for like an extra large.
Got it.
So once you've completed those rows, do not fasten off.
Yes.
Because then you're going to work on the short end of it.
Ooh, yes. Okay.
So you're going to kind of turn it on its side, right?
Got it.
And that's why we left that super long tail.
Okay, that makes
so
sense.
that you can sew it back up. See how long my tail is?
It's huge.
Yeah, I
Okay.
made that just
Good job.
insanely long.
That's good.
So that you can start the scarf part. You're going to turn it on its side.
Oh, that's
Does
cool.
that make sense?
Yes.
So you're done ribbing. You're going to turn it on its side, and then you will crochet. You're going to change your hook. That's important. Change your hook to the
Don't
bigger
forget
hook,
to change
the
your hook.
6.5 hook.
Okay.
And then you're going to chain 1 for your turning chain and single crochet, depending upon
The size.
the size.
Got it.
45, 47, or 49 stitches across.
Okay.
On the shorter side there, right?
Got
Which
it.
should be 1 single crochet in each row that you did.
Got it.
If that makes sense.
Yes.
You're going to single crochet in each row. Then this is the part that Miss Nicole had to help me on, because I was like, I don't understand what she's saying, but it makes sense when you do it. So
Yeah.
I'm one of the people that I have to like do it as I go.
Yes.
So for the first row, for basically the first row and the pattern all the way throughout until you reach your length is you're going to chain 1 for your turn. You're going to single crochet in the first stitch. You're going to skip a stitch and single crochet in that next stitch.
Got it.
Okay. Then going in front of the stitch that you just did,
The one that you skipped.
the one you're going to go back into the one that you skipped and do a single crochet there. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Then you're going to skip the one that you already did and go into the next single crochet.
And then you keep doing that.
Yeah, you keep going back and forth.
Yeah.
You skip one and go back to the one that you just skipped. So you're kind of crisscrossing your single crochets back and forth all the way down. Does that make sense?
It does.
Chain 1, turn, do it again.
Yep.
Chain 1, turn, do it again until you reach your sweater length.
Oh, you just keep doing that.
Yes, you
That's
keep
easy.
doing that.
I could do that.
Yeah, and you make it as long as you want.
Yeah.
And then when you get to that length, however long you want, then you're going to chain 51
Oh.
again to make your other sleeve.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's the other sleeve part.
That's the other sleeve.
Got
You're going to chain 51.
Okay.
And then you're going to go back and single crochet that
On the back loop
51 on the
only?
back loop only. And you're going to also connect back into the sleeve. So you're going to make sure that your last stitch attaches to the sleeve.
Got it.
Does that make, or not to the sleeve, I'm sorry, to the scarf.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that last stitch does need to attach to the scarf.
Got it.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
And then you're going to work in your back loops only, single crochet and back loops
All the way.
only, all the way to get the ribbing until you've done that 45 to 47
7 to
times.
49. Yeah.
Yeah.
Got it.
45, 47, 49
Okay.
times, depending on how wide your scarf is.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And then once you've done that and finished and fastened off, you're going to leave an extra long tail again.
Because you need to sew
Because
it
you
back
need to
up.
sew it up. So then you're going to take the tails on both sides and sew up the sleeves. And that's it.
That's so easy.
Right?
I could do that.
You so can do that.
Okay, we have to work that together.
Yes. Okay. So
Okay.
the way that I like to do my ribbing is
Yes.
a little bit different.
Yes. Tell me.
So I like to, once I have my chain, I'm going to slip stitch in every chain.
Every chain.
Every
back.
chain on the way back.
Okay.
And then I'm going to half double crochet into the back chain only.
Oh.
So it makes it look like it's knit,
Yeah.
right? Because then you get the V. You have a V popping
that's
up
cool.
as the rib each time. And then that half double crochet is the part that pops to the back.
Does
that make sense?
Yeah.
So it comes out to be about the same size, but
Sure.
that's how I like to do my ribbing.
Neat.
So you're alternating between slip
Slip
stitching
stitch and half double
and
crochet.
half double crochet.
Cool.
Yeah, so
I
that's
like
how I
that.
like to do the ribbing.
Cool.
Yeah, so that's our stitches for
I'm
today.
so excited to this project.
This project is going to be amazing.
It's amazing.
Take a stitch. Okay, I am dying. It's story time, yes?
Yes. It's
Okay, story time.
All right, story time. So this week, this is kind of a ghost solving murders.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, but this
That
first,
is awesome.
yeah, and I have 3 today. The first one, though, just to, like a disclaimer,
Uh-huh.
it can be considered either a ghost solving a murder or the first psychic tale to solve a murder. But either way, it's still a fascinating, true event.
Oh, that's so cool.
You ready?
Yes.
The Red Barn Murder.
Red Barn Murder. She has pictures.
I have pictures.
I love it.
Okay, so the morbid story takes place in Polstead, Suffolk, England. It is 1826.
Ooh, Victorian era.
Yes.
Where mediums were like really hot in the Victorian era.
Were they really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll have to talk about that
Yeah,
in
I think
another
Queen
podcast.
Victoria loved mediums.
Really?
I think so.
Interesting. Okay, we'll have to get into
I might
that
be
some more.
remembering that wrong.
No, you might be. You might not be. We'll have to
Okay.
get into that. But yeah, as I said, so it's 1826, and this story revolves around Maria Martin, 24 years old. And she's an attractive young lady, but has had 2 children out of wedlock. Yeah.
Maria
gets around. Her first,
Or she's pretty and guys are taking advantage of
she's
her.
very pretty, but no, she knows what she's doing.
Oh, okay.
Just heads
Okay.
up. She knows
Okay.
what she's doing. Her first child, unfortunately, died as an infant. and was with a fellow named Thomas Corder. And that's going to sound familiar soon. He didn't want to get married to her just because she had his child. So he supported her financially up until the infant passed. So he's a good gentleman in a way.
Sure, good gentleman. I'm not going to marry you.
But I don't want to marry you.
Well,
You're not
okay.
marriage material, apparently.
Yeah, I different time, different
Different
era.
times.
They had to marry for money and for
Right.
reasons, and she probably, I don't know what her situation was, but it sounds like she didn't have a very good dowry or something. He needed a higher position.
I mean, Polstead was a very small town, so it's like I think most people wanted to marry outside just to kind of, like you're saying, like go to London.
yeah, they
you
need
know.
to better their
Yeah,
situation.
but she, So
Okay.
So yeah, they didn't marry.
Unfortunate, insane times.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to go back there.
Nope, I'm good.
We are not going back to those times, people.
No, we're not.
Rant
You're
over.
all good. You're all good. Maria moved on to date a London native named Peter Matthews, who visited Polstead frequently to see his sister, and she had his child. Yay. Same story, though. Peter did not want to marry her.
Oh, Maria.
She was cool with it, though. It sounds like she was all good with this.
She's like, I don't want to get married.
Yeah. She loved being free, apparently.
Okay.
And they didn't have birth control back then.
Well,
wah.
yeah.
All right. Neighbors gossiped about her so much that this kept Maria out of Polstead to live her best life. She was like, nope, I'm cool. I'm going to get out of this little neighborhood.
Okay. So
Yeah.
she's like a modern woman.
She's a very modern woman.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like this Maria.
Yeah, she's cool. Men found her irresistible and charming, and she basked in this. She's like, yeah, I know what I got. That's what I'm telling you. She's cool with everything. At some point, though, on passing back from London, she started taking fancy with 22-year-old William Corder. Yes, this is Thomas Corder's younger brother.
Oh, no.
Yeah. She's like, oh, the Corder family. Hey. Okay.
Nope. You don't dip your ink in the same well. Or I
Well,
guess the other way
Other
around.
way. Hey-o. Yeah, William Corder wasn't the most upstanding citizen, though. He was known for fraudulently selling his father's pigs as well as forging checks.
No, William.
Not the coolest.
Come on.
Yeah. Most likely due to Maria's reputation around town. William did not want to publish the relationship, but it's a small town.
Right.
So
People are going to find out.
Yeah, people are
Yeah.
going to find out. He was really sweet to her, though, and would call her my sweet Maria or my lovely tulip.
My lovely tulip.
Yeah. And they would rendezvous in the Red Barn often.
Oh.
And on cue, Maria was pregnant again in 1826.
She'll never learn.
Nope. William was much kinder and sweeter than his older brother, and neighbors started to note the fact that they were courting. And he did start to hint marriage since she was now worried about her third illegitimate child.
Yep.
At this point, William's 3 brothers and father had perished within 18 months of each other.
What happened?
Oh, lots of little weird, mysterious things. Like
Oh, weird.
the last one, his brother was trying to cross a pond to get to a neighbor to do something, and and the pond gave way right in the middle, and they couldn't save him, so he died in in the pond.
Gosh.
Yeah.
That is bizarre.
Icy pond, yeah. But yeah, so 18 months of each other, okay. Maria finally gave birth in April of 1827, but unfortunately, the infant passed soon after. And speculations are because the infant was born sickly, it never recovered, but no one really knows why the infant passed.
That's so sad.
I know. Maria was really weak and ill upon return to Polstead after giving birth. So Mrs. Martin, her mom, was taking care of the baby. And I'm sorry, I meant to say stepmom, but only died a couple weeks later.
Oh, no.
Most likely to still keep the baby a secret from townsfolk, they took the baby after it had been dead for 2 days in the house.
Oh, my
Yeah.
gosh.
And in the still of the night, buried it in a field nearby. Well, apparently the story is they went to William's house where Maria was staying, and then William went to bury the child.
Aww.
Yeah. Even though William hinted at marriage, he never went through with it.
Well, no, because there's no baby anymore.
No,
so why should
exactly.
he? Ah.
While Maria lay ill with her child struggling to live at that point, that was before they buried it, Maria's father and stepmother kept pressuring William to propose, but he never did.
Mm-hmm.
But on Friday, May 18th, William Corder barged into the Martins' house where he found Maria in her bedroom, along with her stepmother, Anne. William tried to rush Maria out of the house to leave with them right then and there. The reason
Okay.
William wanted to take her to Ipswich because the magistrate sent a warrant for her arrest because of her bastard children.
Oh my gosh. She's going to be arrested because she has illegitimate children.
This is what he said he heard. He's like, they're going to arrest you. We need to go get married now. So I can save you. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It scared her a lot, but she was frantic as to what was going to wear because she had just woken up and she was still in bedwear. What about her things? You know, it was like chaos.
Yeah.
And William was one step ahead and had brought some of his brother's Thomas's old clothing. He told her if she wanted to hide from the public, she was to wear them out and he would hide her in the red barn. Then he would grab her belongings that she would pack up and bring them to her. The plan, again, like I said, was to marry her in Ipswich. When Maria was ready to go, they planned to exit separately and meet again prior to the Red Barn. So Mrs. Martin confirmed, she said this, she knew this, that Maria exited the back door, William the front door, and when she was looking out the cottage window, she swore she saw them join and walk together to the Red Barn between 12:30 and 1 p.m. that day.
Okay.
Sunday, May 20th. This is a couple days later, right?
Right.
9 a.m. William visits Thomas and Anne Martin, her parents, and her father and her stepmom. And he lets them know he left Maria in Ipswich. They hadn't married yet, but he had to go get a marriage license. Mm-hmm. But complications such as signatures required in London wouldn't allow them to be properly wed for another month or more.
Okay. So he just wanted to run away with her.
Did he?
Okay. Oh, no.
Weeks went by and Anne would see William and ask for updates, but she received no correspondences from Maria herself.
Okay. So wait. Her stepmom.
Yeah.
I was counting stitches, so I just want to make sure I had this right.
She's crocheting at the same time, which this is what we would do. But.
Yeah. Okay. So her stepmom saw William on the regular or would just see
William
him.
would come back to Polstead.
Okay.
And give her
updates about Maria.
About Maria.
But she would never hear from Maria.
She would never hear from Maria herself.
Oh.
Sketch, right?
Yep. Not good.
Like I said, weeks went by.
Yeah.
This made Anne wonder if William really was going to propose or just keep her as a mistress, like you said, just kind of run away with her. But then weeks turned into months. By fall, Anne Martin still had not heard directly from Maria. William made excuses such as she had an accident and hurt her hand so she couldn't write.
Oh, BS, dude.
But would say he had just saw her and she was doing really well, or she was just too busy doing, living her life. When William first met with Anne, he told her she was friends with Miss Rowland, sister of schoolfellow of William. So like one of his friend's sisters, they were hanging out together all the time. And that's why she was busy.
Uh-huh. So, but
and then
they aren't married yet though, right?
No.
And so
he's still waiting for that license to come through.
No. Yeah.
And the funny part is, I didn't put this in my notes, that Roland, sometimes he would say it wrong or he'd spell it wrong.
Uh-huh.
So they're like, is there a Miss Rowland?
Oh.
Okay. More excuses would come that she was with Miss Rowland visiting the seaside.
Right. No, she wasn't.
Yet when others asked about Maria, he would make totally other stories up. Like she was in France because she wanted to travel. So he's making up.
How are people like...
Yeah, no. This is
accepting
1800s.
this? But still like... No.
Yep.
How would you accept that? It's mind-boggling to me. This is crazy.
Isn't it insane? The town gossip Phoebe Stowe poked and prodded him, asking him questions like, "Where's Maria? Where's your child?" As Mrs. Anne Martin had already leaked that out. Or, "Why don't you live with Maria? Why don't they have any more children? And aren't you scared when you're not with her? Perhaps somebody else is," because, Maria, she had that reputation. His response to the latter, "Oh no, when I am not with her, I am quite sure nobody else is."
Yeah, because he killed her.
I don't need to worry. And all the questions were visibly affecting him. September 8th. Remember that happened in May? September 8th. He tells Thomas and Anne Martin that he feels terribly ill and he needs to visit a spa for a short holiday and that he promises to rejoin Maria and marry her once he's better.
Oh, bull crap.
October. God. He writes the Martins again and says they're about to depart for the Isle of Wight for fun and that he's all better. So now they're both traveling to the Isle of Wight together.
Okay. No. So much about this is like, I don't understand how her parents are complacent in the whole
she's
matter.
not. His stepmom's still like freaking out.
But
His
the dad, though.
The dad's like, well, she had this reputation. It's better that she's not here. And they're taking care of her only child. Remember, she does have a child still. Remember the one boy?
Right.
And they're taking care of him.
So the dad but okay. Yeah. And it's a boy. So
It's a boy.
I'm sure he's like, oh, my son, this is my heir. So I'm sure he's happy
okay
to
with
let
that.
his wife deal with the heir.
Yeah.
I hate
It's terrible,
this
right?
so much. This is ridiculous. And like, I don't understand why I'm all fired up right now.
Good.
I don't understand why William keeps just feeding them lies
Yep.
and why
And everyone's okay with it.
that makes no sense to me.
Yep.
This is the most bizarre thing I've ever heard.
Small town too.
No. Because like even in Jane Austen,
But that was,
I know it's fiction, but like still in Jane Austen, when her sis in Pride and Prejudice, when her sister runs away with Mr. Wickham, like they're on them within like a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I know.
This is
Bonkers.
ridiculous.
I know.
Oh, I'm so mad.
Okay, we're getting to the good part.
Okay.
December.
December.
That was May. Don't forget.
December romance. Ooh. Okay.
William had seemed to disappear and no one had heard from Maria still. This is when Anne Martin begins to have vivid nightmares about Maria. Even her husband Thomas complained about them at the tavern. And stepdaughter, sister to Maria, Anne, so Anne's the sister of Maria.
Right,
okay?
right.
Another Anne.
Right.
She was heard to say, she's going queer, her mom. Mm-hmm. Keeps saying Maria comes to her in the night and knocking on the door and shouting for help. Ought to be put away. She told that
About her own mother?
About her own mother.
Her namesake?
Well, stepmother. There's again stepmother.
Oh, okay. So Anne is
So yeah, I'm sorry I didn't explain it.
Too. Okay.
Anne, there's two Annes. Okay.
So Maria and Anne are
sisters.
sisters. They're
Right.
not
A-N-N.
half sisters.
Yeah, they're sisters.
Okay, because I was thinking that
Anne was a half sister. No,
was half sisters. They're full sisters.
So they're full sisters,
and the
and
stepmom.
Anne with
Okay,
an
gotcha.
E is a stepmom.
Gotcha.
All right, now nightmare soon drifted away for Maria's stepmother, but then in April, she told her husband he needed to go to the Red Barn and look around. Pondering why he should do that, Anne responded calmly, "I have dreamed a great deal about Maria recently. Twice before Christmas, when I wasn't sleeping well, I dreamed that she was murdered and buried in the Red Barn."
He like buried her in the Red Barn.
That's
Like-
what she says. She that's her nightmares. Yes. Thomas asked why she didn't tell him all this before, and she said, "I didn't want to worry you, and at first I thought it was just a bad dream. Then it came to me so real that I felt it must have happened. But still, I didn't say anything because I thought you'd think me mad or superstitious." In her dream, Anne stated she couldn't see the murderer, but that her corpse was buried underneath the right-hand bay of the further side of Corder's Red Barn. And the Red Barn belongs to the Corders.
Right.
Anne insisted the dream was exactly the same every time she had it. And was very sure of the details in her dream and was, again, very calm and collected about it. After a few nights of debate and thinking his wife was insane, and with Thomas not wanting neighbors to catch on that she was insane, he finally said, "You know what? I'm going to fulfill your wish and examine the barn."
Okay. Good job, Dad.
Yeah, Dad. But you know what pushed him
Way
to do it?
do something about your
Right?
daughter's murder.
Yeah. But, you know, it
Man.
wasn't her pushing him to do it. This is the funny part. He said, "The recollection that there were tales the Red Barn was haunted many years ago and that there was apparently a ghost in the pond at Helen's Bottom, that the rector of Polstead was called in to exorcise." So basically, if there are tales of ghosts, maybe her nightmares were real.
Oh my
Isn't that
gosh. So instead
insane?
of believing your wife,
Her wife that's been
it's
having
like,
dreams
maybe ghosts are real because it's been exorcised.
because they called the priest in. Isn't that crazy? That's so
I
crazy.
hate it so much.
I know. Now, Thomas's excuse to search the barn was maybe Maria left some clothes in there. So that's what he's thought of. He's like, okay, we're going to go see if, like, maybe because they knew Maria was in the Red Barn a lot.
Right.
But the barn was locked up and William Corder had the key. Asking if there was a spare, the foreman said it was actually really strange because before last May, William never worried about the key. But then insisted on keeping it and never letting it out of his sight after May. If anyone asked to go in, he would accompany them, stay there until they were done, and lock up afterwards.
Oh my gosh.
So
this is so insane. Like, he's being so insanely suspicious.
Oh, he's sus. He's totally sus.
He's totally sus.
I have that in there somewhere.
Do you?
I do.
That's awesome.
All right. So Thomas Martin asked Mrs. Corder, the mom, and her bailiff to search with the excuse to look for Maria's clothes, and it was granted. April 19th, he went straight to the right-hand bay where his wife said Maria was murdered. And sure enough, he picked up some corn and saw large stones on the floor with disturbed earth beside them. He started poking the soft earth with a rake he found and found a small black object. After Thomas and the bailiff started digging more, then they found a round, sharp iron, about a foot long, like a hay spike. They felt like something else was buried. So 2 hours later, after getting more assistance, they dug up a corpse that had been tied up in a sack. And the hole was only 3.5 feet in length. So the body was all folded up.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Even though the body was badly decomposed, Thomas recognized the shawl, earrings, combs, and clothing that Maria owned and wore the day she left for good.
That's why the scarf. Because Nicole, when I asked her what to, giving away our secrets here. I asked her what stitch I should do. She's like, maybe make a scarf. Maybe make a shawl.
There's another story for that one too.
Is there? Oh, cool. Yeah. Okay, but this is like a year later too, almost.
Yes.
So this is April, and this happened in May the year before.
A whole year. Oh. They left the body for the night. And
what? No. Why would they
left
do
it
that?
in the barn, and they reported it to the police.
Yeah. So it's going to be gone the next day, though, if William knows that they found it.
No, William has no idea.
Oh, okay.
Remember, he's gone, and nobody knows where he is, and
okay.
they haven't heard from him in a while.
Okay.
But they went to the police. So the coroner and the police arrived the next morning, and they noticed bloodstains on the floor of the barn. There were also bullet holes in the barn door. Upon further examination, it looked like she was hit with a sharp object in the head, and that a handkerchief around her neck had been pulled tight enough to cause death.
Oh, Maria.
The handkerchief belonged to William Corder.
Of course it did. Because he's dumb. Ridiculously dumb here.
He's very dumb.
Oh,
Since forensic pathology was a lot more primitive in those times, they weren't exactly sure if she was shot as well, but more on this soon. I'm going to come back to it.
Okay.
So, in this case, police actually acted quickly and efficiently.
Yay, police!
Not like other police around here. Yeah.
Right. That's exciting.
Yeah. So after contacting so many people, Police Constable Lee found Corden married to another woman and living with her and her family in a private school for girls in London where they also worked. He was married already.
Of course he was.
Yep.
That's why they didn't hear from him anymore.
Yep. He's got a nice family and they're all well-to-do. So
ridiculous.
Yep.
Ridiculous.
No, this is the fun part. He introduced himself as a police officer from London and pulled Corden aside into the parlor to tell him about a serious charge. This is what he says. The charge concerns a woman named Maria Martin with whom you used to keep company. She has been missing for a very long time, and it is suspected that you know where she is. Do you know her? Corden responded, no, I never knew such a person.
Liar, pants on fire.
But Lee basically said, okay, well, you're still my prisoner. He searched him, took his keys, and Corder asked to talk to his wife in private before he was taken, and that was denied. However, he asked to finish his breakfast, and this was allowable. So, okay.
Can't go to jail on an empty stomach.
I guess so. They were actually kind of nice about that. Yeah.
That's so bizarre.
So Corder was finally detained, and after searching that current home, Lee found a small sword, and that was confiscated. Okay. Soon after Maria was buried, the coroner got together with a team made of a doctor and a surgeon that had also seen Maria's body. They wanted to exhume her body after it was buried to do a more thorough inspection.
Yeah.
Which they should have just kept it out and did it before that, but I don't know. But yeah, so they did. They exhumed her body. And yes, there was a pistol ball that entered her neck. And they also inspected the clothes she was wearing and noticed there was a wide cut in the side indicating she was stabbed with a sharp instrument. They didn't notice this at first because the decomposition of Maria's body had soaked the clothing and was hard to figure out in her position of burial. Remember, she's like cramped up in a small sack.
Yeah.
And again, as mentioned before, forensic pathology was archaic in these times. So this is
Right.
funny. What did this lead them to do? They charged William Corder with murder in 10 different ways. Let me read them to you. This is silly. I didn't know. I was like, what? 1, shooting her with a pistol. 2, stabbing with a sword in the ribs. 3, stabbing in the face.
In the face.
In the face.
In the face.
In the face. 4,
Oh.
stabbing in the side of the neck.
Oh my gosh.
5, strangulation with a handkerchief. 6, shooting her in the left side of the face.
Yeah.
They didn't know. They didn't know. I think they just didn't realize how to proceed with this. So they were just like, let's throw everything
Yeah,
in.
one of these is going to stick. She died in one of these
One
ways.
of these ways. 7, throwing and pushing her into the hole dug into the ground and throwing earth on her, therefore suffocating her. 8, throwing her in a hole and burying her.
Right.
9, stabbing her in the left side and strangling at the same time. And 10, by all the 4 wounds mentioned above and by strangler and by suffocating her.
So they're just covering all their bases. They're
Yes.
going to make sure they get this
They're
guy.
going to make sure they get him.
Oh my gosh.
And you know what?
Maria. What?
Corder pled not guilty.
Of course he did. 'Cause he's that
so
arrogant.
Dumb. Okay.
Oh, idiot.
So witness upon witness was interviewed at the trial. And her stepmom gave the details to the T of the day that she disappeared. But she was never asked about her dreams, nor did she willingly talk about them.
Okay.
When William Corder was on the stand, he claimed he and Maria had a fight about the burial of the baby and the marriage, and that he left her in the barn, and that he was walking away. He heard the pistol go off and she committed suicide.
Liar, liar, pants on fire.
Totally on fire.
Oh my gosh.
But all the evidence was against him.
Well, yeah.
The jury found him guilty in a little over an hour, or half an hour, sorry.
Nice.
And he was hung a week later.
Whoa.
Yeah. In jail, he did confess to killing Maria, but only by shooting her and not stabbing her, which I think is BS.
That's total BS. Like,
Yeah.
no, he did everything to make sure she was dead. Come on.
Heinous act.
That is
So that is the
disgusting.
Red Barn murder.
Oh, disgusting.
So what I'm going to do
But-
this after every case. Thoughts? Do you think it was ghost trying to tell Anne?
Oh,
Or do you think it
absolutely.
was psychic?
No. Ghost visit in dreams. So yes, it was absolutely Maria. Like, enough of this BS. Come get me.
Good. Okay.
Yeah, it was definitely a ghost. It was
Isn't that
Maria. They communicate in dreams.
Yep.
And so, yeah.
Telling her stepmom.
Yeah. Like, this is me. This is where I am. Come get me. Yeah.
So, and it's strange that they're like, oh, her dreams are weird, but like, how did she know exactly where she was buried?
Yeah.
Isn't that creepy? Like, she knew where to find, like, she told Thomas, like, this is her location.
This is where she is. Yeah. Maria told her.
Yeah.
Like,
this is where
there's
I am.
not a doubt in my mind.
Isn't that crazy?
It's, yeah.
Okay. Second one.
I love that. Okay. I love it and I hate it at the same time.
Right?
You guys know where I'm at.
With true
You
crime.
guys get me.
I know. The second case is called the Greenbrier Ghost. This is very well known.
I think
You probably know about this one.
I don't know
This
if I know the story, but like, I've heard of the Greenbrier ghost.
Okay.
I've heard of that. Yeah.
So this next definite ghost-solving murder has some similarities to the previous story. The setting, densely populated Greenbrier County, West Virginia, and the year is 1895. Elva Zona Hester, and she went by Zona, which I love,
Love it.
has just given birth to an illegitimate child.
Oh no.
See? Ties. And that's all we really know about Zona, unfortunately.
Oh no.
So there you go. October of 1896, Zona met Erasmus, or Edward, as he went by, Stribling Trout Shoe, who had come to Greenbrier to work as a blacksmith. They fell madly in love and ended up marrying soon after. However, Zona's mother, Mary Jane Robinson Hester, despised Edward. She thought he had something to hide, but despite how she felt in her intuition, the couple were inseparable. Things were fine and dandy for the two for a while, until January 23rd, 1897. Edward had a young boy as an apprentice working for him and told him to go to his house and ask Zona if she wanted anything from the store. Not sure if the boy knocked on the door or just let himself in, but upon entrance, he found Zona lying in a sleep-like position at the bottom of the stairwell. This is the weird part. Her legs were together, stretched out in front of her, one arm stretched across her stomach, and the other hand by her side, and her head was tilted to one side.
That is a very strange
So
position.
she looked like she was
Okay.
sleeping.
Right.
He tried calling out to her with no response, so he booked it home to tell his mother, then to the local doctor and coroner, George W. Knapp, and then the police. However, Dr. Knapp takes nearly an hour to make it over to the shoe home. So it takes an hour.
Okay.
So before he gets there, though, guess who gets there first? Edward. Edward arrives first on the scene, and instead of leaving her be, he carries Zona up the stairs and lays her on their bed and dresses her. Now, this is not customary at the time.
Right.
Because normally ladies of the community would change deceased women in their burial clothing.
So he took it upon himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Edward picks out a high collared dress and a veil to place over her face.
Okay.
When Dr. Knapp finally arrives to examine Zona, Edward is struck with immense grief and is just bawling over his dead wife, sobbing and cradling her head the entire time. Dr. Knapp is just trying to do his job, but with Edward in the way, he can't examine very well.
Right.
It's a hasty examination. So Dr. Knapp does notice some slight bruising around her neck, but every time he tries to get a closer look, Edward reacts violently and becomes very agitated with the doctor. Mm-hmm. Dr. Knapp didn't want to even attempt any more tries. He's like, I get paid too much for this. So he chalks up Zona's death to everlasting faint, but then changes it to complications from pregnancy.
Okay.
So Zona was seeing Dr. Knapp for a few weeks prior to her death due to female trouble, but it was unknown if she was actually pregnant. So that's why he was like, okay, well, she was seeing me for a little bit. Mm-hmm. Most likely that's why she died. We'll just chalk it up to that.
So complications of pregnancy is why she died.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
Medicine was so good. Okay.
A wake was held for Zona in the shoe home so friends and family could see her body before burial. However, Edward insisted no one get close to the body. He also tied her favorite scarf around her neck.
Oh, scarf again. Okay.
Because it was always her favorite.
Uh-huh.
Then he also placed a pillow on one side of her head and a folded cloth on the other so that she could rest easier.
Uh-huh.
Definitely sus.
Right. He is definitely protecting her neck.
Yep. And Zona's mother, Mary Jane Hester, was definitely not convinced she died of natural causes.
Right? Yeah.
It is said that Mary Jane prayed and prayed for Elva Zona to come to her from death and tell her the truth about how she died. Mm-hmm. She prayed every evening for weeks. And finally, 4 weeks later, her prayers were answered.
Way to go, Zona.
Right?
Go get her.
Zona appeared to Mary Jane for 4 nights in a row. In her visit, Zona first appeared to her as a bright light and then took her human form and made her room shockingly cold. She told her mother that Edward was very cruel and abusive towards her. And one night, because she did not make any meat for his supper, he flew into a rage. Edward broke Zona's neck, and Zona's ghost told Mary Jane this as she turned her head completely around and walked away while staring back at her.
Oh, weird. That is a weird thing to dream about. Oh.
It wasn't a dream. This was actual visits.
Oh, so she wasn't visiting in her dreams.
No.
She was full awake.
She was fully awake. That's why I'm saying it made the room cold. She saw the light.
Yeah.
Yeah. And saw her for 4 nights in a row.
Did she do the same thing 4 nights in a row?
Same thing 4 nights in a row. These visits pushed Mary Jane into confiding in local prosecutor John Alfred Preston. She explained the nightly visitations from her deceased daughter and how she was murdered. Not sure if he actually believed Mary Jane or if the town was already suspicious of Zona's death, right?
Yeah.
But Preston did end up questioning everybody in town. Mm-hmm. The consensus was Edward was acting quite peculiar at the wake, and Dr. Knapp confessed the examination of Zona's body was not thorough. All of this led Preston to request and obtain a warrant for an exhumation of Zona's body and for a proper autopsy.
Yeah.
Edward objected to all of this.
Of course he did.
But he was totally ignored. Once the autopsy was performed, it was concluded that Elva Zona's neck was broken and bruising indicated that her windpipe was severely crushed. Edward Shue was arrested and taken into custody to be tried. Apparently, his last words on the way to jail were, They cannot prove I did it.
Oh, that's totally an admission of guilt, dude.
Yep.
They can't prove I did it.
Yep.
Even, like,
Nope,
you
he's-
can't prove it.
Yep.
Even though I did it, you can't prove
Nope.
Such a jerk.
Such a jerk.
Okay, so wait.
Okay.
I have my hand in the air. So Edward sent somebody to his house.
His apprentice,
He
little
sent
boy,
his apprentice to his house.
to check if his wife wanted something from the store.
Yeah. Why?
What do you think?
If he knew his wife was dead.
Because to put on this whole act.
Oh.
Oh my God, I didn't do it.
Yeah, because then
She's
like
dead.
she's dead. Okay.
Yeah. There you go. Now Preston did
He's
more.
still an idiot though.
Very much. Because watch,
Okay.
Preston did
Okay.
some more digging into Edward Chu's past.
Yes.
And Mary Jane's intuition about him was spot on.
Right. Okay.
Edward had been married twice before. The first wife told police that he was extremely abusive and violent, but he was put in jail for stealing a horse. And when he was in jail, they divorced.
Okay. Good on her.
His second
She
wife
was
died
saved.
mysteriously after only 8 months of marriage.
Edward.
And supposedly while in prison, Shu was overheard boasting about wanting to marry 7 women in his lifetime. Ew.
Ew.
Ew. That was when he stole the horse.
Ew.
Ew. June 23rd,
Ugh.
1897.
Uh-huh.
The trial for Elva Zona Hester Shu's murder began and lasted for 8 days. Even though the prosecutor tried to avoid questioning Mary Jane regarding her ghostly visits, she still told the jury that her ghost did indeed tell her about the murder. Her detailed story, unfortunately, was ruled inadmissible, and evidence against Edward was circumstantial. However, the jury obviously believed Mary Jane, but did not want to admit it.
Uh-huh. Good jury.
The verdict?
Guilty.
Guilty.
Yes.
And Edward was sentenced to life in prison. 10 out of 12 jurors voted for execution, but it was not unanimous, so they couldn't do it.
Okay.
This did not sit well with the townsfolk,
Uh-huh.
and a lynch mob formed, believing that he needed to be hanged for his crime.
Right.
However, authorities saw them coming and moved Edward to the state prison in Moundsville before the mob could reach the jail.
Oh, wow.
Edward Shue died in prison in 1900. This is only 3 years after he was put in prison.
Wow.
One article says it was from a mysterious disease. One site says an epidemic hit the prison that spring. Either way, just those few years after he was in prison, so maybe the townsfolk got what they wanted in a way,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, he's gone.
So currently what's crazy is Greenbrier County has a historical marker that commemorates Elvazona's death and strange trial. For it states it was the only known case in which testimony from a ghost helped convict a murder.
Well, that's a cool plaque.
Yeah, it's really cool. Now, by the way, last thing
Way
about
to go,
this,
Zona.
you have to look at this. This is really cool. I'm going to show you.
Okay.
Atlasobscura.com. Atlasobscura.com. There's a graphic history of this case. It's like comic book form.
Oh.
In this really cool way of drawing. Not like comic book, but like
Right.
a really cool illustration of all of this.
Interesting.
And I really enjoyed it. So
Yeah. Okay.
check it out.
Cool. I will.
Okay. That's the Greenbrier Ghost.
That was a good one.
Yeah. Last one I've got for you.
Okay.
I'm calling this because this was the TV movie that it was called Voice from the Grave.
Voice from the grave. Oh, she looks sweet. No, is she the murderer?
No. She saw my face. No, that's not it. All right. Teresita Basa.
Teresita Basa.
Born in the Philippines
Oh, okay.
in 1929.
Hey, Philippines.
Hey, Filipina. While there, she was able to attend Assumption College in Manila, and most likely for music,
Yay.
because she decided to move to the United States to pursue a master's degree in music at Indiana University.
Hey.
Yeah. She also then studied inhalation therapy, which led to a job as a respiratory therapist in Chicago, Illinois at the Edgewater Hospital.
That is an interesting thing to study.
Right? She was smart.
Yeah. Good girl.
She was a very caring, reserved person, and while working her job, she started attending Loyola University, working on her music doctorate.
Yay.
Right? And in her free time, she offered complimentary piano lessons to neighborhood children.
Oh, that is so sweet.
She was a caring, sweet lady. Okay. February 21st, 1977.
Oh, good year.
Bassa's friend Ruth Loeb called her up and they talked for half an hour. Loeb later testified that Bassa was expecting a friend over but didn't have any other details about it. An hour later, neighbors complained of smelling smoke from Teresita's 15th floor apartment and ended up calling the fire department. When they were able to enter her apartment, firefighters extinguished a fire on a mattress. And shockingly, underneath the mattress was Teresita's nude body with the butcher knife in the middle of her chest.
Why would you kill Teresita?
No, she's the sweetest,
so
right?
Sweet.
Yep. At first sight, investigators assumed she was sexually assaulted, but under more scrutiny, this was not the case. Once they finished the examination, her body was flown back to her home in the Philippines for a proper burial. Interviews were conducted on her family, friends, and neighbors, but because she was such a sweet soul, they had no leads as to who would commit such a heinous crime.
Right.
The only strange clue they found was a note in Teresita's diary that said, "Get tickets for AS."
For AS.
AS, in the capital AS.
Okay.
But that could have been anything. There was just no physical evidence on Teresita's body, no witnesses, no real clues, anything to solve her murder. The case went cold.
Oh, Teresita.
6 months later, Detective Joe Statula received word from the Evanston Police Department that they had some new info on Teresita's case.
Nice.
Yeah, Detective Statula and Lee Eplin followed up, and they were told to contact Dr. Jose Chua in Skokie, Illinois. Remy Chua, she's his wife of surgeon Dr. Jose Chua, was also a respiratory therapist at Edgewater Hotel. Oh, sorry, Hotel Edgewater. Edgewater Hospital, and co-worker of Teresita, and she enters the picture.
Okay.
Dr. Chua claimed that his wife Remy had been possessed on 3 separate occasions.
Oh, wow.
By none other than
Teresita.
Teresita. At first, he didn't believe his wife, but Remy said to him in a trance-like state and in a heavy Tagalog accent that was not her own, "Doctor, I would like to ask for your help. The man who murdered me is still at large." When Dr. Chua asked who she was, Remy responded in Tagalog, "Ako y Teresita Bassa," or "I am Teresita Bassa." Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Remy, or Teresita, said he had nothing to be scared of and that she was pleading with him to solve her murder. Then Dr. Chua's wife said, in Teresita's accent, that Alan Showery, a technician at Edgewater Hospital, had killed her.
AS.
When Dr. Chua asked the voice why she had allowed Showery inside her apartment, she replied because he was a friend. Half an hour later, Remy Chua snapped out of her trance. This was the 3rd trance, and had no recollection of what she had said to her husband.
Oh, that's crazy.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was after the 1st trance.
The 1st trance.
Yeah. Remy did it a few more times, and that's when they decided to contact the police.
Wow.
But during those trances, Teresita revealed that Showery arrived at her home to help repair her TV, then stabbed her and stole her jewelry. Now,
wow.
The AS initials in Teresita's diary made a little more connection to the Chua story, right?
Right.
And according to the book Mysterious Chicago, History at its Coolest by Adam Seltzer, Detective Statula said, "I talked to pimps, prostitutes, drug addicts in the Belmont area. Dr. and Mrs. Chua are educated, intelligent people who live in a $90,000 house. $90,000 house, yeah.
Right.
A distinct change for me. I wanted information on this murder. I listened and acted on what they told me." Good job, detective. Mm-hmm. So detectives learned that 32-year-old Alan Showery, who was an acquaintance of both Chua and Bassa, did indeed work at the hospital as a respiratory technician and would do small jobs for Teresita because he was having some financial problems. When the detectives arrived at Showery's apartment, they also found his pregnant girlfriend, Yanka Kalmuk, wearing a pretty pearl ring and jade pendant.
I'm guessing they were Teresita's and he stole them from her, yes?
She said Alan had given them to her as a Christmas present, but alas, yes, this was the jewelry that was taken from Teresita's apartment. And that jewelry yep, had originally belonged to her mother.
Oh, wow.
So obviously they would know that's her jewelry.
Right.
They took Showery into custody even though he denied killing her. But once at the police station, he did break down and signed a confession. In that confession, he recanted that he did visit Teresita, attacked and murdered her, stole the jewelry, and started the fire. He stripped her body to make it look like a sexual assault instead of robbery, which proved effective at first, right?
Because they thought she was assaulted.
Yeah. However, later Shouri retracted his confession, stating the police threatened to arrest his pregnant girlfriend if he didn't confess. His lawyer, William Swano, tried to have his case dismissed, citing, "Never to my knowledge has a man been arrested because of a supernatural vision. Police have never before been informed of a criminal's name by a voice from the grave." Although he obviously didn't know about my previous cases.
Yeah, he didn't.
See?
He's just trying anything he can to try to get his client out.
Yep.
Yeah.
The judge still ordered for the trial to proceed. The prosecutor's office spoke up, stating that they were not interested in the supernatural aspect of the trial and that they had found evidence leading to his arrest separately. Boom.
There you go.
When Shouri was finally summoned to court and the case brought forth to the judge and jury, unfortunately, it ended in a mistrial as the jury was deadlocked.
Oh, what?
At the trial, though, public defender did claim Remy faked her possessions because she was fired from her job.
What?
Yeah. But
What?
why put on an act to point a finger at someone for cold-blooded murder? It's not like Alan Shouri fired her. The rumor was that she was bad at her job and he got her fired. That's BS.
Oh, come on. That has nothing to do with the case at all.
But
ridiculous.
maybe Teresita had gotten to Shouri, or most likely knowing he could get a reduced sentence. So while waiting for a new trial, Shouri changed his story again and did indeed plead guilty.
Okay, good.
He was sentenced to 14 years in prison for murder, robbery, and arson. And those 14 years were turned into 5 years because he was released in 1983.
Oh,
right.
So he's
free. And the rumor is he moved to New York and he left. So living his life for murdering somebody.
I hate that so much.
I know.
She was such a sweet woman and he just murdered her because he needed money.
Yep.
And she was giving him jobs.
She was trying to help him.
This is so disgusting, Nicole.
I know. But at least he got put in prison for a little bit, I guess. I don't know. The Chuas wrote a book about the whole ordeal entitled A Voice from the Grave, which was co-authored by friend Carol Mercado. It was also featured on Unsolved Mysteries and turned into a TV movie, Voice from the Grave. We know from this that Remy Chua had never had another trance-like state or possession, and life went back to normal for her. And she really hated the media attention when that all happened.
Oh, I'm sure.
And the case also was featured as a fact segment for Beyond Belief. But that is the case of Teresita Basa.
Well, Teresita, you were awesome I'm so sorry.
Right?
I feel so bad for her.
But she's just trying to have a good life, doing music, helping people.
Yeah.
And
just trying to be a good person, and then she gets murdered by a selfish jerk.
You know how much money he got from her? $30.
Are you kidding
all she
me?
had.
He murdered her for $30.
Well, he thought she would have more, but she didn't. So $30 and some jewelry, and he killed her.
I hope she haunts him terribly.
I do too.
That's such a weird one to end on, Nicole.
Sorry. Well, okay. So that's why I was saying there's more. And I was like, well, this is a lot for this one. But there is another case that happened 10 years ago. So I was like, I'm going to do that.
We'll do more of these because I like this.
Right?
This is so cool.
Right?
And so up my alley. And I love that it merges everything.
I know.
It's so good.
Awesome, huh?
Well, thank you for the awesome story time.
Of course.
Those are so good.
I like them too.
Okay, so are we ready to get into movie time?
Yes.
Okay, it's movie time.
This week's movie is Stir of Echoes.
Stir of Echoes.
It was released in 1999 because you got to party like it's 1999.
Yeah.
IMDb rating 6.9 stars, and the synopsis. After being hypnotized by his sister-in-law, a man begins seeing haunting visions of a girl's ghost, and a mystery begins to unfold around him.
Dun, dun, dun.
So I was trying to tell Angela that this movie came out before Sixth Sense.
Yes.
And it's so very similar to it. Just replace the psychiatrist with a dad, right?
Right. Yes. But okay, so the big differences between this, there's a lot of differences between this and Sixth Sense, is that we know that this is happening to the dad and the kid,
Right.
that they are seeing dead people.
Right. It's not
and
a
in
surprise.
Sixth Sense, it's a total
Yes,
surprise.
that's
you
true.
have
That's
no
true.
idea.
Well, the little kid sees dead. Well,
But in both movies, the little kids
Yes.
see dead people.
Which little kid did you like more, this one or Sixth Sense?
Haley Joel Osment
He was sweet.
was so good.
But this
He
little
so
kid was
sweet.
so cute.
He was
love this
he
little
was cute.
kid.
He was cute.
Yeah.
Yes. He reminds me of like one of your kids. So
Yes,
I think
he
that's why you
does.
love him so
Probably
much.
big cheeks, big
Yeah,
eyes.
yeah.
But yeah, this movie, the reason why obviously I picked it was because the whole synopsis of, I mean, he gets opened up to different energies, right? And different worlds.
Right.
So then he's able to help, like this ghost keeps visiting him, right?
Right.
And she was murdered.
Yes.
And so it really helped him to like help her, which I thought was really cool. And
it's a Kevin Bacon movie, guys.
Kevin
You can play the Kevin Bacon game while watching
That's
this
right.
movie. Yeah, it's a very 1990s movie. Yes, and the way that they talk to each other and how angry they get for like nothing,
Right?
and it's like way overly dramatic.
Oh, so dramatic. So dramatic.
It was crazy. I'm just like, stop being mad. But then there's like, it's mostly Kevin Bacon. He just like gets mad all the time.
Yeah. Well, he's like
which
this
is really
like
funny to me.
Well, he's this guy that lives in Chicago and he wanted to be a rock star.
Yeah,
And
he
he's
wanted
like-
to be a rock star.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm sorry, I'm just a lineman. I'm like, linemen make really good money.
Really good
So I
money.
don't know why you're upset about being a lineman.
Seriously, like
Did that
that's
bother
too-
you? It bothered
Yes.
me.
No, it bothered me that he had this cool house and he had this like awesome wife
And he's like, I got a stupid life.
Yes.
And then the wife called him out on that. And
Yes.
she's like, your stupid life is
It's
my stupid life. And I think it's a pretty darn good one.
Right?
Yeah. I don't understand how she put up with his ridiculousness.
Oh, the whole time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
And
she
he
was
would-
very patient.
He was so angry
Always.
at how ridiculous he was. And she was just like, you know, this isn't normal, right? And he's like, get off my back. I'm like yelling at her.
I know.
I'm like, no, you can't get mad at being
Right.
called out on your ridiculousness.
Right.
Come on, dude.
And he like snubs her. I know he's got lots of stuff
all the
going
time.
on.
He's like, your
but he
grandfather
ignores
died,
her.
but I need to dig.
Yeah.
Or grandmother. Grandmother died, but I've got to dig.
And he ignores her like he's listening to music, trying to figure out what the song is in his head.
Yeah.
And like just ignores her the whole time. I'm like, dude, this is your wife.
You're way too self-absorbed.
And she's pregnant. Right? I was like, dude. And he's like okay about it. Remember, he's like,
right,
another kid.
yeah. Oh, and the wife doesn't even get to tell him.
Yeah.
The sister-in-law
Like, ruined it.
who's just a jerk for no reason.
She is, yeah.
And she's just like, oh, you're having another baby, and he's like, God damn it.
Yeah.
Right.
I was like, if my husband said that, I'm like, you know what? Maybe we don't need to be together.
Right?
Like, you don't care about this. This sucks. Never mind.
Right.
So yeah, that was weird. She put up with a lot.
She did.
And the
she's
fact-
a saint of
right?
a woman. My gosh.
And like trying to help him figure out what's going on in his life. But the weird part for me was like, I didn't know if this was real or not. The whole like block parties, like they went to that house and they were having a big party, and they just kept having parties in the neighborhood. And
Neighborhood
there's
parties
so many
all the
people.
time.
Yeah,
all the time trying to, because this is a good neighborhood or
Right.
whatever that one
Kept
neighbor
saying.
kept saying.
Yeah.
This is a decent neighborhood. That's
Yeah,
what it was.
decent,
Decent
yeah.
neighborhood. And they went to a block party and took the baby monitor, and the baby monitor was the babysitter,
yes,
right?
yes.
The baby they didn't have anybody at the house.
It was right across the street, but still,
it
was weird.
No, I
Yeah.
wouldn't do that.
I wouldn't leave my kid.
No.
No, I don't care.
I like barely would leave my kids to just go across the street
Yes.
to the mailbox.
Yeah,
You know, be
exactly.
like, okay, I will be right back,
Yeah.
kids.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's
That was
crazy.
weird. But yeah,
But
so
you know,
that-
different
that
times,
threw me off.
90s, people leave their kids all the
guess.
time, I guess.
No,
I don't know. I mean,
No.
well, I was a latchkey kid. Like,
I
were
was
you?
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was normal
But
for us.
I
It was
lived
not
on a
normal for
military
them.
base
Oh, that's
a lot
true.
of the time,
So
so
you had,
it was
It was like
easier.
a community of people watching.
Yeah, they
it,
trusted. Yeah, we were very much more trusting on a base when you're like isolated, right? So yeah, it was just weird to me in that fact, and the whole like football kids and the other dad, it's like sleazy looking at women. Like, remember
Oh,
that?
that was gross. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like again,
just so open about the chauvinism.
yes,
It was so bad.
And then the wife was like okay with it. You
Yeah,
know, like,
yeah. No.
No.
That was obviously written by some sleazy men, and this is like their fantasy thinking that women are going to be okay
Yep.
with their men acting like barbarians and
Yeah.
pigs. No,
No.
it was not okay in the 90s.
No,
it is not
it's
okay
never
now.
okay.
It's never okay.
God.
That is so disrespectful and
Gross.
just like
Just gross.
horrible.
Yeah.
But that's not the point of the movie.
No.
Side note.
Side notes. Those are the things I'm like nitpicking at. But the whole I liked how he was hypnotized and like that whole act of it. And then the little things that come through and the psychic and the seeing the ghosts and things.
Yeah,
that was
those
kind
were
of
cool. I liked the way that they did the scenes with the
Yeah.
ghosts coming in and making things cold, and just like the way that it all went bizarro world for a
Yes.
little bit and then came back to normal.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah.
I liked the way they did that.
Right.
Mhm.
And then the whole actual what happened in the end. Oh, his dream. Like that was kind
Uh-huh.
of crazy too.
Yeah.
So they're really good elements of that supernatural, like paranormal.
Yeah, the supernatural stuff, the way they handled it, the cold, seeing the breath, all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was really cool.
Mhm.
But the fact that he was like digging up his house and no one ever said anything.
It's
that
ridiculous.
was really stupid.
It was
I'm
cute
sorry.
with the little kid in the
yeah,
back.
he's
and
helping.
like,
I know that was
and what was the deal with
adorable.
all of the orange juice everywhere?
Something about being like psychically like hypnotized made him so thirsty for craving orange juice.
Yeah, that was weird.
That was really
Which
weird.
I loved it when she opened the fridge. She was like,
And it's like all orange juice.
Okay.
She was so calm about it.
Yes, and there's like mud all in the house. She's
Everywhere.
like, I'm not cleaning that up.
Yep.
That's not my problem. Yeah.
So weird.
And
but
then he's like,
anyway.
what? I'm digging. And
Yeah.
she's just like, this is not normal, man. Like,
Right?
this is not cool, dude.
Not
like,
cool.
What?
Yeah, she called him out.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, it was cool. And at the end, the whole scene at the end, and the little boy saying I was scared of feathers, that got me.
Oh,
I
yeah.
was like, oh,
Yes,
he
I'm
saw
scared
it.
of the feathers. Me too. When the feathers came raining down at the end, I was
Yep.
like, oh, the
The
feathers.
feathers.
Yeah, that got me too. That
Yeah.
jumped out on me. So there were a lot of elements of this movie that, if they redid the movie and took out a lot of the chauvinism.
Yes, it would have been a better movie.
Yeah.
I agree. And then my last part about this, again, M. Night Shyamalan stole it because they're driving away and he's hearing voices and he's covering his ears. Remember in Sixth Sense?
Yeah.
He's looking out the window
Yeah.
and he
Changing
sees
your situation is not going to get away from the ghost.
Yeah.
If you're psychic like that, or if you're a
That
medium, you have
open.
those tendencies.
Yeah.
If you're open to other dimensions,
right.
You can't outrun it.
You can't.
It's
But I
just
mean,
gonna be with
the
you. You
moving,
have
I
to
get
learn how to
it.
do it.
They had to move because
Well, they had to move because he ripped the house
he
apart.
tore it apart.
And it was a crime scene.
Yes.
Like, I'm sure they had
But-
stuff that they had to
Yeah.
do in that house.
But that poor kid.
Yeah.
And I think there's a stir of echoes too.
Oh.
I think. I don't know for sure, but
It would lead itself to a sequel because
Yeah.
the kid still sees
yeah.
dead people.
Yeah.
And it's, well, no.
I think. I don't know for sure. Don't quote me on that if there's not a number 2, guys, but
Right.
anyway.
Okay.
But anyway, what'd you think of the movie? How many stitches would you give it?
Maybe 5, because there were elements of it that I liked, elements of it that were just like I couldn't forgive.
Yeah, I get
So,
it.
Yeah.
I'm on that same wavelength. I'd give it a 5 too, because I've seen this movie many times, but like I'll leave it and go, oh, I want to watch that again, and then I'm like, oh yeah, that's the 90s movie.
Yeah. You have to
And I'm
get
like,
past all of the 90s
yes,
chauvinism.
and you're like, oh,
And there's elements of like a good story.
Yeah, exactly.
You just have to like
Kind of.
you have to remember the story and forget about the dialogue, and
Oh yes,
then you're there.
exactly. But Kevin Bacon, he does good for what he had to go on. I'm sure that was his line. Those were his lines. He gave him. The little kid was great.
The little kid was great.
Mom was great. So yeah, I gave it a 5.
Yeah. Well, good movie. This was a great episode.
Yay, fun
I love
episode.
it. If you guys want to continue enjoying episodes with us, we would love it if you would support us. So go
Please.
find us on our Patron page, and it's on Podbean.
Podbean.
So you can go to Podbean and look up TOS, and our Patron page should pop right up there, and you
Yep.
can see it. Any dollar amount that you guys could throw in there to support us to help keep us going would be greatly
We'd be
appreciated.
so happy with that
Because it is just the two of us running this
only
podcast.
us two.
And, expenses do happen
Yes.
when you're doing this little podcast.
Oh,
I mean, we
man.
have lots of yarn. We have lots of other expenses that go along with this.
Right.
And we would just love to find a new way to connect with our community.
Yeah.
If you guys donate on our Patreon, we are glad to send you guys little trinkets that we're making. So
And
you'll get
thank
some
you
crochet and
notes.
thank you notes
Yeah,
and
yeah.
shout outs and special little things that we have planned for our patrons. So go find us there. You can also, if you don't feel comfortable giving to us that way, that's totally fine.
Yep.
Give us a story.
Oh, yes.
Email us at theominousstitch@gmail.com because we just want to connect with you any way that we can. So let us know any paranormal stories that you have going on. We would love to do a listeners episode.
Yay!
Or if you're doing something cool with any of the crochet things that we've talked about on here, or if you have any ideas for us for future podcasts, please let us know. We want to connect with you and have you join our community.
We would love you in our community.
Yes, we would. So this was another fantastic episode. I can't believe we're already at the end of it.
I know. Time flies.
Time flies when you're having fun. So I guess that's it. Until next time, we'll see you, Stitchers.
See ya, Stitchers.